Guru, made for you.
This is the video on binomial squares. So from now on, we're going to get into a unit on quadratics and factoring. So we need to learn what the word factor means because we're going to see it a lot. So the word factor means to rewrite as a product. And factor does not mean to simplify. Factor means to rewrite the given thing as a product, as something that's going to be multiplied together. So if we have the number 45, if we want to factor it, we can say it's 9 times 5. We're rewriting this number as a product. We're rewriting number as a product. We're rewriting the polynomial as a product. So first thing we have to do for binomial squares is we have to look at what a binomial square is and how to recognize one. So this here is a binomial square. A binomial square is where you have a binomial that's being squared. So we have a binomial right here, and it's being squared. So let's see what a binomial square is. So a plus b whole squared can be written as a plus b times a plus b, right? And now what we can do is we can distribute twice. Since we're multiplying two binomials, we can distribute twice to get a trinomial. So let's see. So a plus b times a plus b is a times a plus b times a plus b. And we get a squared plus ab plus ba plus b squared. And for that, we get a squared plus b squared plus 2ab, or a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So what we can notice is that if we have a binomial square, what we have is we square the first term plus we square the second term, and we multiply these two numbers together and multiply by 2, because a times b is ab and times 2 is 2ab. So this can be applied to any binomial square. And we can use it when we're multiplying out a binomial square, and also down here when we're factoring a binomial square. And when we're factoring a binomial square, we're going to rewrite this trinomial right here as the binomial. So if you wanted to factor this a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, we would factor it to a plus b whole squared, because that is the product right here. This trinomial written as a product. So let's multiply out this x plus 3 whole squared using this rule we just learned. So first what we would do is we would square the first term. So that will be x squared plus, and then we would square the second term, which is 9. X squared plus 3 squared, which is 9, plus 2 times ab. So x times 3 is 3x. 3x times 2 is 6x. So if we write it in descending order of degree, we would get x squared plus 6x plus 9. And that's how you multiply a binomial square out. So let's learn about factoring a binomial square. So to recognize a binomial square, the first thing is that the first term and the last term are perfect squares, right? Because we're doing a squared plus b squared. So the first and last term have to be a perfect square, which means that the first and last term can't be negative, because negative numbers are not perfect squares. the middle term can be negative, and if the middle term is negative, that means it will be a minus b. That means instead of a plus b, it will be a minus b. Because, see, when we have a plus, the middle term is positive. And when you have a plus here, the middle term is positive. But if we have a minus, the middle term will be negative. So, number 1, first and last terms are positive. Positive. And the second rule is that middle term shows if it is a plus b or a minus b whole squared. So those are the things we have to keep in mind to see if a trinomial is a binomial square or not. So let's see if these two are binomial squares or not. So the first thing you have to look at is if the first and last terms are positive. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say, and positive and perfect squares. So let's see if this first term is a binomial square. So 4x squared. 4x squared is positive, because it's not negative 4x squared. And is it a perfect square? Yes, it is, because 4x squared is the same thing as 2x squared. Because remember exponent rules? When we have product of power of a product, we do the first term, we apply the exponent to all the terms. So 2 squared times x squared, which is 4x squared. So this is the first term is a perfect square. Is the last term a perfect square? Is 3 a perfect square? No, 3 isn't a perfect square. 3 is not a perfect square. So we would say not a binomial square, because the last term is not a perfect square, which means that this cannot be a binomial square ever. And let's look at this second one. So is the first term a binomial square? Yes, it is, because according to exponent rules, we have a power of a product. So this would be 3x squared, because we would apply this exponent to all the terms, and we would get 9x squared, or 3 squared times x squared. Is the last term a perfect square? Yes, it is. 25 is a perfect square. The square root of 25 is 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. And we have that. To figure out if this truly is a binomial square, the last step we have to do is remember the middle term is 2ab. So if this is what we have, if we have 3x plus 5, because this is positive, 3x plus 5 is 3x times 5, which is 15x, times 2, 30x, because we have 3x times 5, which is equal to 15x, and that is AB. So AB is 15x. So 2AB will be 2 times 15x, which is 30x. So is 30x 30x? Yes, these two match. So this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, and 2 times the square root of this term, 2 times the quantity of the square root of this term times the square root of this term equals this term. So this is a binomial square. But is this, so how do we factor it? We know it's a binomial square, so how do we factor it? Like I said earlier, we just find the square root of this and the square root of this, and we add them together because this is positive. So to factor it, all we do is we do the square root of the first term, which is 3x, and then we add the square root of the last term, because this is positive. If this was negative, then we would subtract it, but it's not, so we add it. So we have 3x plus 5 and then we just do 3x plus 5 whole squared. And that's how you factor a binomial square. So let's write the last step when we're looking at a binomial square. So the last step is to find the square root of the first and, I'm going to move over here, I'm sorry, first and last terms, and either add them or subtract. And remember, we would either add or subtract based on the sign of the middle term. So if it's positive, then we would add them together. If it's negative, then we subtract them together, and we just square the quantity. So we have 3x plus 5, and we square the whole quantity. And that's how you find a binomial square. That's how you recognize a binomial square. That's how you multiply out a binomial square. And that's how you factor a binomial square. Thanks for watching. Guru.